Hello and welcome to another Harsh Noise Gear review. I am here today with the HNS-100 Harsh Noise System from Thalz. Thalz is well known for making lots of great noise-making synthesizers and pedals, and I've reviewed their CUNT, cut up noise thingy. I've also reviewed their, I haven't had much of their other, like, tabletop, stuff, pedals or synths, but I have, had their, I did a review, and I still have, and I love their very first, module, the Harsh Noise Wall Machine. And then they were making this. We were talking a bit about it for a while, but this is I guess version 1.1. This is the current available version of the HNS Harsh Noise System 100 from Thalz. What this is it's 12 HP modules in a case. The case is pretty deep, custom made, solid aluminum. The first version of the case, it's gone through some revisions, but the current case is really good, very solid, and all the modules. I will say, first off, you will notice that there are, like, the modules aren't 100% the same color. There's like a slight discoloration, and there's some gaps, and this one doesn't lie exactly flat. And there's some gaps between the modules, but, like, this is because he sent me a few updated modules, and this is also because Thalz said that well, they went with a new production person making all the modules, and some of the stuff is not 100% consistent at first, but they're working on it and getting better. So we'll see. But the build quality is still really good, and the modules are all amazing, and it works really well together. What this system is designed to do, because I've talked a bit about a bunch before about small systems and purposeful design, and this is a small system. It is 8 modules. It is what's it, 6 HP and 48 wide, 48 HP wide, 6 U tall. Sorry, what? And with small modules, small systems, you got to have a purpose built in mind. And this one's called the Harsh Noise System. And damn, is it really good for making harsh noise using a bunch of techniques that are not your standard synthesizer techniques, like, where's the oscillator, bud? Where's the filter, my guy? Where's the keyboard and the sequencer, my gal? There's none of that, my non-binary pal. There's none of any of that shit. Well, okay, I lied. There is one oscillator. It's right here. There's an LFO. You can see it slowly blinking. And it's got a square and a triangle out. That's it. That's the only standard oscillator in this whole thing. Instead, because it's a noise instrument, we have, count them, 1, 2, 3, 4 mixers. 4 out of 8 modules are mixers. The other 4, we have a crazy distortion pedal, utilities, noise, utilities, the disgusting gross delay, feedback, a single LFO. That's it. The rest is mixers. Well, technically, the no input mixing board is a mixer, but it's more of a sound source. This is basically your oscillator, to be honest. Um, okay, I've rambled a bit with this intro, and I've kind of broken down a little of what this can do, but really, uh, what I'm going to do in this review, I want to talk about is I want to talk about how the system works together, purpose built as a system. Then I want to talk about each. Then I'm going to do like the quick feature rundown. Quick feature rundown. I'm just going to run through it all. Then I'm going to give my opinion of it. And that's going to be it for this video, because after this, 8 more smaller videos focusing on each module and interacting with it and showcasing a bunch of different patches using focusing on each module. Yeah, this one's more like the general overview system review video. So if you're like, I can't wait to learn exactly what the muddy down here, muddy. I can't wait to explore the muddy output because I'm a muddy buddy. I don't know what I mean by that, but maybe you gotta wait for till I review this one, okay? I'm gonna mention it in this video, but we're not gonna delve into the mud and the shade and the tint until the chromatic video. Anywho, so today I'm gonna be running the harsh noise system through the Dark Star stereo reverb from Old Blood Noise Endeavors. This is a oh, you heard it for a sec. Stereo reverb. That's a stereo reverb, and it sounds really pretty. I really like the way it sounds. You probably will too. But then later in the video, and for some of the other videos, I'll be switching out. You know, for our usual, the stereo pair of death metal pedals for left and right, as is the harsh noise way. Okay, okay, so before I do a full features review, I want to talk about it as a system and like give my honest review of this thing, which is, it's really good, and it's really got a lot of utilities and a lot of different ways to make a lot of different noise. I haven't found the things I have found wrong with it in the past. Thalz literally took my suggestions, updated the Pannic spreader, gave it panning, fixed some stuff with it, made it more optimized for noise. The refraction unit totally changed. This is great now. Before it was kind of questionable. And the CUSS has been solidified and updated to be a little more resistant to use. And now the system's like basically flawless. The one thing I'm like actively suggesting to Jen is to next, if he's gonna update anything, add 3 more tiny little preamps, just 3 more gain stages, like put them over here somewhere. We're working on it. But yes, this gain stage is amazing. This is like one of the best distortion units I've ever worked with. But it only has, you know, 1 input and it's mono. It does have like 3 outs and 2 CV outs, but it's still mono. As a system though, there are so many ways that you can cross patch and internal patch this, and just like you can pick any 3 modules and really just spend all day cross patching and like self-modulating any of 3 of these modules to make something interesting. And what's great is you have 8 freaking modules, so you can build like whole songs and tracks and performance pieces on this. So the way I have mine set up is I have kind of what I think of as utilities and effects over here, like a modulators and utilities, effects and modulators up here. I have my distortion pedal. I have my sound sources, the NIMB and the Chromatic, which only this part's the sound source. This is actually, whoa, look, it's a filter. What's that? Low pass filter. That's right. There's no knob. Haha, sorry. Then there's a CV generator. Then there's the texturizer. Anywho, like, these are my sound sources, and then these are my performance pieces. Because CUSS is obviously built for performance with the toggleable ons and the, it's a cut-up mixer. But you ask, why is this one performance? Well, there's a filter cutoff knob, and a resonance, I lied, there's a second filter. And this filter actually has CV control over the frequency, so it is more like a standard synth filter. So there's your oscillator and your filter, bud. No sequencer, no keyboard, yeah. Here's your keyboard. The grid is a matrix mixer, and I basically consider this a performance piece, and I have it off to the side here so that when for some patches, I'll have something complex going on, and then I'll have the performance aspects of it routed through the grid and CUSS so that I play it like this. We got one hand here, manipulating the knobs, stabbing the keys. Yeah, and then Pannic spread as the main 3-input panning VCA mixer with an additional output, so you can do like other feedback and feed it all over. Yum. This is great for, so the thing with this harsh noise system is, if you're unfamiliar with a lot of noise concepts, you're going to have a bad time. If you're open to exploring, you're going to have a great time. If you're open to splitters and self-patching, are the key to really unlocking this thing's heart. I usually say unlocking its pussy, but this is like, I don't know, maybe someone's kid is like, man, I really love harsh noise synthesizers. I hope she doesn't say pussy. I hope she doesn't unlock the synthesizer's pussy. Too bad. We're doing it. But yeah, the secret is splitters and stackers and patching. Yep. Okay. The other great thing about this is you don't really need a lot of external gear to have this be a full system. Like, you could just play just this with performance parts and moving pieces. You could play this as a whole set, this whole kit. The two pieces I would recommend to add to it are a contact microphone, because you can stick it in here in the gain, and then there's your contact microphone and your distortion. Boom. Harsh noise, baby. That's all you need. You don't need any other modules. What are you doing with this? This is garbage. No, I'm just kidding. So contact mic, maybe a reverb pedal, maybe a delay, fancy nice like effect on the end, maybe something in the middle that you really like. It works well with all external gear. I could show using this with other synths and keyboards and other modular stuff, but like, I really don't care. It's all CV. It all works together with other stuff. But I'll show it with the Dark Star stereo reverb, and I'll show it with the some stereo death metals. But other than that, I'm mostly just going to be focusing on just this system and not its interactivity. Like, its interactivity is obvious. It's got CV in and out all over the place, and then two a 1/4 inch out right there, and that's freaking it. Cool. Now I'm gonna do dun 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 the full feature rundown as quick as I can. Hopefully you can read this. I think you can. Full feature rundown as quick as I can. And we're gonna listen to a little example. No, that won't make it as quick as I can. But we gotta hear some noise, don't we? We gotta hear some freaking noise, bud. Okay, I'm sorry. I don't know why I'm saying bud. Okay, let's start with. We are going to hear some noise, and I'm going to do a quick feature rundown and demo of what each of these modules do. We're going to start with, but in order to do that, we start with the Pannic spread. The Pannic spread is 3 inputs. Boom, boom, boom. It's a standard. It's the most standard mixer here. You've got a panning knob, pan left, pan right. It pans left, pan right out. You only have that left, right out. There is also a summing main mix knob here that only corresponds to this mix output. This is not your master output volume. There is no master output volume. You get these 3 knobs. There's also CV controls over VCAs over each of these. Okay? So you can modulate that stuff. You can use this in the middle if you wanted to. I'm using it at the end because it's kind of what it's there for, mostly convenient, also because it's the only place where there's panning and left, right, out, which means it's kind of like your main out mixer. That's the Pannic spread. We're going to be using it for everything, so I decided to introduce it first. Next, let's talk about the gain augmentation unit. The best distortion pedal. We're going to test it by throwing into its audio input a contact microphone, named after Michael Raffone. No, that's not a real guy. Okay, so we're going to take input 1. We're going to give it a little bit of juice. Okay, so there are 3 audio outputs and 2 CV outputs from the gain augmentation unit. Let's crank it, because noise warning, folks. Oh yeah, oh yeah. Ooh. Let me actually. That's probably fine. I just need to take my headphones off a bit. Haha. Okay, so we have the preamp out, which is a clean, just the preamp. There's a preamp, sensitivity for the CV, and then there's and that's like just the first part. Oh, that's like maxing out. Hold on, let me turn that down a little. Haha. Yeah, that's just the clean preamp. Yeah, but then the preamp is split, and the preamp does a few things. There's a sensitivity over the preamp, which you can see via that light, and the sensitivity controls how sensitive the light is, and the light represents the CV. There's an envelope follower for this input, and there's also a gate. Just like on the Dope for A119, one of the first input modules I ever started with. It's just like that. But then what else is going on? It splits it into a compressor with here's the sustain, here's the clipping, and it splits it into a compressor and into basically a kind of like Metal Zone death metal clone with low, mid, high, and an exciter knob. It's so exciting. And that comes out the EQ output. So let's listen to the compressor output. Oh, let me do this without reverb. so you can just hear the synth. Why is it not feeding back? Well, it's because I'm only listening to my headphones right now. Let me put it near my headphone. Love to hear it, folks. Yeah, compressor, EQ. So it's kind of like your traditional distortion and whatever, but the preamp is still the same for all of them. It's a pretty great gain augmentation unit. Wow, that's what it does. The other thing it does is obviously it's a sound source. You run the compressor into the audio input, then you listen to the EQ. We're going to talk a lot about feedback with this synthesizer, because this synthesizer has feedback out the freaking wazoodlers. What? Okay, you know what? Go back to saying pussy. Don't say wazoodlers anymore. Come on. Wazoodlers. What the fuck? Yeah, that's what you get. You get a horrible tone for saying a bad word. Yeah, that's the gain augmentation unit. Also known as God's awesomest unit. Hell yeah. Okay. Next, we're gonna talk about, I'm basically doing these in order of, like, my favorites. No, let's go, this is a complex one, let's go to a simple one. Simple one, the CUSS. The CUSS is, no, I gotta introduce them based on, like, how they integrate. Oh, okay. Yeah, sound source. No input mixing board. I'm organized. Don't look at me that way. No input mixing board. This is probably the coolest module out of all of them. It is a no input loop. That's just, there's like one normal one, and then you can make your own in addition. So let's have a listen. We're going to grab that main out. Oh, we love that tone. Okay. So there is, as you see, a feedback loop, a feedback amount. We're going to ignore this. These are all CV inputs. We're going to ignore that for now. Right now, we've got an audio input and 3 outs. A send out, a main out, and a VCA out. They all output a horrible tone. But why 3? Because they can all do crazy stuff. Once we start self-patching and self-modulating and integrating stuff, this is like your main oscillator, main sound source. Because you got that feedback loop, feedback amount, gain not doing anything. I'll just explain why. I'll get into that. There's our clean feedback tone. So we have basically the feedback tone. Standard no input mixing board feedback tone. But then what we're going to do is there's a toggle. So first, it either works with bass and treble. So it works like a feedback loop, and which means you control your pitch via the feedback loop, the feedback amount, the bass, and the treble. All 4 of those control pitch. This is why it's not your standard freaking oscillator, because you got 4 controls that control the pitch of the tone. because it's a feedback loop. So, you'll learn to work it. The gain knob is only for the VCA. Little mislabeling. But then you can toggle between the raw no input out, or you can run it through a distortion, which is controlled by the drive knob, and then through a filter, which is the cutoff is controlled right here. So we have our, but then run it through the distortion. We have our drive and our filter. Race cars. Race cars. Race cars. I'm an adult. Okay, that's the no input mixing board, but whoa, back up. How can we feedback it? What do you mean? That's the no input mixing board. What about what do you mean? You just said all the feedbacking. I'm stalling while I'm preparing a splitter off screen. Don't worry, kids. Okay, so we're gonna take the send out, right? Because it's a send return, right? And you would run a send return through an effect, right? Like, oh, let's run it through the echo. Wrong. We're gonna run it through the splitter. We're gonna run it right back into the audio input to create yet another feedback loop. This is not the feedback loop that's in there. This is another one where we just give it lots of volume on here and then give it some right there. And then look, there's a second feedback loop we can mix together now. Based on our incoming volume of our outgoing feedback loop. Based on that. Oh my god, so here we go. But then, why'd you get the splitter ready? Okay, check this out. We're gonna run it into some of our, this is the best input right here. This is the best input on the board, the feedback amount. So this is CV control over this knob. Rarely do you find CV control over a feedback amount on anything, like a delay, anything. It is rare. I think I can think of maybe like 1 or 2 modules ever that I've seen that. Anywho, check this. Self-modulating time. Okay. Just for noise sake, we're gonna run we're actually gonna run our send out into our audio input, because basically the reason I'm like, I guess I have to demonstrate these in sort of an order so I can demonstrate them at all. Because if I started with like the cut-up mixer, it'd be like, yeah, it's a mixer, you push the buttons, I can't really show you anything without explaining all the other stuff first. So here we go, one thing at a time, building it up. So we've got, we're taking our send out from the no input mixing board, running it into our gain augmentation unit. Then we're taking the compressor out from the gain augmentation unit, running it into our audio input and our 3CV controls. The reason I'm not using the VCA, the gain, and the VCA is because that's all separate output. Whoa! And we can get into that soon too. Watch this though. God, it sounds awful. I love it. Okay, okay. Let's try the EQ. Oh, there we go. Way dirtier. Way dirtier. Let's see what happens if we run our VCA out into our audio. No, let's keep the send there. Let's do our main out into VCA, then listen to the VCA. Nah, other way around. VCA out into its own control. No. Compressor into VCA out. So sometimes you gotta figure it out. Right there. Yeah. Hell yeah. Now we're cooking. Let's bring back the reverb. Yeah, I could do a whole set like this. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Okay, I'm getting distracted. I was, this, 1, 2, 3 down. Okay, let's go ahead and, introduce CUSS. This one's easy. No, wait. Let's go to Chromatic. Ha ha ha, I'm all over. For Chromatic, it's got a few things going on. It's got, the main function of Chromatic is the noise. You got a white noise out and a pink noise out and a noise starve knob, a sag. It literally sags the power going to the circuit. So let's have a listen to some good old everyone's favorite white noise. Wow, we love that, folks. Let's turn it down. Let's sag it. Turn it up, sag it. Turn it up, sag it. Yeah, that's white noise. Pink noise, though, way more interesting. And you can sag it. Great as an audio source. Or as a modulation source. But there's also a few other things going on here. There's a filter input, and a hardwired output preset, high pass, low pass, band pass. There's also a transform color into random control voltage. You put in anything into this input, you offset it in whatever way, and then it outputs an envelope and a gate based on the random noise you throw in there. This can be signal from anywhere. These are like basically 4 disconnected sections. They're not normal to anything behind the scenes. So there's the noise, there's the filter, there's the transform section, then there's the texturizer, which has input 1 is texturized into shade, tint, and muddy. Input 1 plus input 2 are texturized into pale or rectified. Pale and rectified. The 3 outputs combining inputs 1 and 2. This stuff can get really interesting depending on what you throw in there. Let's try one of the easiest examples to show is pink into gain into let's do compressor into texturizer into Pannic spread. Let's listen to the shade. We'll do shade, tint, muddy. So shade. Oh, and for reference, here's just the compressor. Here's shade, tint, muddy, and then we have pale or rect. But those aren't that pale or rect aren't that interesting until we plug something into input 2. So let's take our other noise source. See, this is why I needed to introduce a bunch of shit before I even can explain like what the fuck the texturizer is. Our other noise source, which is our no input mixing board, which sounds like this currently. Lol. Let's take that plus remember shade, tint, and muddy are just input 1. But then pale or and rect is both. You can do some pretty interesting stuff with this. I really like just like a sag into the mud. Sag into the mud. Sag. Yeah, let that mud sag. try. Oh, the clipping was all too much. Let's try like a minimal crackle pop. Ooh, yeah. Ooh. Look at me, I'm the Rita. The reverb. Falling into the mud, into the crud, into the stuff. Okay, up next, let's do everyone's favorite. Okay, let's do, sorry, the refraction. Just because this one is is also a sound source. Whoa! You didn't think it was possible, but we're gonna take the mix out, run it in here. Whoa! What the hecky? Yeah, there is a really gross delay. It's just a standard. Oh. Yes. So what's going on is there is a delay. It's like a standard lo-fi like delay chip. Not a bucket brigade, but like a standard lo-fi delay chip with a control voltage control over the time. And then it goes through a filter. And then that gets mixed with the original signal here in the mix out. And then there's the delay out. So let's do our favorite. Everyone's favorite noise combo. If you're starting out in noise and you want to be like, I want to do like the classic noise combo, get a distortion unit, distortion pedal, then get a freaking delay pedal. That's all you need for noise. That's what I started out with pretty much. And then we'll do the mix out into here. So I got this. To the compressor. Okay, so we got our contact microphone. But then let's give it some delay. So here's the clean mix, here's with the delay. Yeah! Oh! Power electronics! Power electronics! Okay, so it's a standard delay, but then what the heck was I doing earlier? I was messing with the time. Watch this. And increasing the delay amount. The return. Okay, but what's crazy? What's totally crazy about this thing is it has TV control over the time. It also has a delay out, and it also has a return in. That's right, a return in and a return toggle. Normally, a delay works in that when it repeats, what gets repeated after that? Well, usually more delays just decreasing in time. But what is returned to that signal is the return. And so what's actually getting echoed is what this determines. So if you have it set here and use this knob, it acts like a standard delay, and that's the amount of echoes. If you turn it all the way up, it'll loop. Like, or as some delay people say, it'll self-oscillate. But this sounds like standard, but like because it's a lo-fi chip being there's also a filter right here, this tone knob. There's a filter on this thing. Yeah. So as long as it's being, so that's with one return. Here's with full returns. Right, and then bring it back to one return. But we can put anything in the return input and then turn it up. So let's put some noise in the return and then turn it up. Yeah, so you can, but what's also insane is you can take the delay out. So this is the normal connection, right? Like that's the default connection. But what you can also do, what you can also do is run the delay out into the control voltage in, get it to do its thing. But now its own audio is controlling its control voltage. Freaking nuts. Let's try the contact mic into the return. Weird. Anywho, that's the refraction. Oh, it's also got an LFO, just a standalone LFO. It's a square and a triangle out, and it goes. It can go like that fast, like audio fast, or it can go really slow. It basically Thalz included it because the next thing we're going to talk about is why he included it, which is this slew and chaos in the utility kit. The utility kit has a you basically put in an input here, and either with this switch down it gets multed and split out these three, or with this switch up it goes into the slew machine where it gets slewed. There's a chaos knob and XY, and it can affect either XY. CV, basically this is a CV generator based on whatever the fuck you put in here, and it'll slew it and kind of slosh it out here, and has a rise and fall to the slew slope, and a CV control over the chaos amount over the slew over X and Y from the chaos. So these three here correspond to these three here, and these two here correspond to that one there, and that's just that. Okay. So, but let's like what do it do? What do it do? Let's get let's get our oscillator oscillating. Then we're going to get some slew, some chaos. But we got to generate something from it. So what we're going to do is we're going to grab... Oh, there it goes, there it goes. It's slewing. It's chaotically slewing. Let's throw the square, let's throw that triangle up, because he said kind of need this. Okay, so X and Y behave differently, and they are based on the chaos and the incoming control voltage, and then it mixes with the slew, or it has its own CV outs. You get the idea, and that's that. And it's useful for the chaos in the slew section is useful for slowly evolving stuff, because it really like will hit you like with like a minute of non-motion, and then like a slow like evolving thing, and like basically you want to put a slow evolving wave into the CVN, make it chaotic, and then it kind of does its thing. And there's also a mulch. You know, wow, neat. The utility kit I think is really cool, but it could be improved upon by using some of this space to do some other stuff. We'll see. Then what's left? CUSS and the grid. Now, these are relatively simple. And how am I going to demonstrate these simple? There's CUSS, there's the grid, and CUSS is a 3-channel cut-up mixer. So it's got a mix out. It's got individual outs. So one in, on off, on off, on off, on off. 2, 3. They're all identical except for number 1. Number 1, it's not noted, but number 1 has a like a decay envelope. I'll show you. Let's get our tone, our oscillator back. Mix into feedback amount. So they each giving so you can either use it as mixers or as CV. Hear how there's an envelope on that? As opposed to... What's cool is you can mix them. Wow, I love noise. Okay. You can. It's also obviously you can run 3 things into it. They get all mixed together and run out the mix out, and then you can turn them on and off. Wow, temporary on. Wow. So like if you wanted, you could do like the simplest, like, oh, let me mix all my noise sources. Let me mix all my noise sources. Is that working? Maybe, we'll see. And then mix out into here. Then we have our noise and then our... Yeah, that's how it works. The next thing is the grid. So it's a 3x3 matrix mixer. If you know what a matrix mixer is, great. If you don't know what a matrix mixer is, check it out. 3 inputs, 3 outputs. The way it works is this input corresponds to this column, right? This output corresponds to this row. This input corresponds to this column. This output corresponds to this row. This input corresponds to this column. This output corresponds to this row. It's like multiple FXNs. But you can also do... I mostly use it to make very complicated feedback patches with a no-input mixing board. I'll run like the feedback in through one, modulate another, run it in through another, run it through gain, modulate it in through another. And then I use these as performance knobs to do random attenuations on the different connections. You can also use it like an FXN mixer, etc., etc., etc. So it has the 3 in, 3 out. It also has a main mix that mixes all of the knobs together into one main mix, and then there's 2 outputs, either a main mix output or bum 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 through a filter. So it mixes it all together through a filter output. The filter has frequency and resonance and has filter control or CV control over the filter. Let's listen to the filter just as a noise source. Or, resonant filter. Yeah. So there's another oscillator for you. But yeah, so you can use this for a variety of things. You know what? I don't feel like demonstrating it. Too bad. You're going to have to watch the full video where I do one on a full fucking 10 something, 15 minutes or so presentation on each one of these, doing something, and more. Each of those videos are going to be like, yeah, I'm explaining it, but I'm also delving more into like a fuller patch using it. is how those videos are going to go. This is kind of it for the main video about all the different modules in this thing, and as a system it works really well. Here's some more footage of me trying different setups with this thing, and yeah, thanks for watching. I hope you like it. So oh, full disclosure, I wasn't paid to review this. I did buy this with my own money. I was given a 20% discount to review this, which isn't like really getting paid. I still paid like a lot of money for this, but like it's worth it, because like if you're into modular and you want like some crazy noise tools and you want to break out of your like way of doing synthesis and you want a new approach to synthesis, this is it. If you want to make noise and want all the tools, this is also it. Like, you can do a full performance of like crazy stuff, mix it all in, and I'll get into that in the other videos. I just kind of wanted this one to be an overview. But yeah, and take a look at the rest of these videos I got here, and thanks for watching. Don't forget to like and also subscribe. Wow!